The Youngster Business. In late August 2004, on the island of Singapore, John Payne asked a large gathering of business people from Malaysia, China, Indonesia, and the Philippines to stand up. Then he asked them to raise their arms and form the shape of 3 letters, one after another. "Give me a Y!" Payne yelled out. "Y!" they yelled back. The auditorium was suddenly full of people looking like Ys. "Give me a U! U! Give me an M! M! What's that spell? Yum! What's that spell? Yum! Yum! Yum!" It was strange to see adults behaving this way, especially at a business meeting in Southeast Asia. John Payne worked for KFC, and he was trying to get the crowd excited about Yum Brands, Inc., the company that owns KFC, Pizza Hut, and Taco Bell. He was giving a speech about the top 10 ways to market to Asian youths of today at the Youth Marketing Forum 2004 conference. Hundreds of business people had paid thousands of dollars to learn the secrets of how to sell things to children. Sitting in the audience were representatives from McDonald's, Disney, Coca-Cola, Toyota, Nestle, and MTV. A special workshop held the previous day had promised to help companies create brand preference and loyalty among children. "It is all about establishing a relationship early," Paul Kernett, the president of a marketing firm called Kid Shop, told the conference on opening day. "The relationship between big companies and small children has changed enormously in the past 30 years. Until recently, just a handful of companies aimed their advertising at children, and they mainly sold breakfast cereal and toys. Today, companies selling all kinds of products realize that kids have a lot of money to spend and a lot of influence on what their parents buy. Every year in the United States, children are responsible for more than $500 billion worth of spending. Big companies want that money, and too often they are willing to manipulate kids in order to get it." 2 men played a central role in turning America's children into the targets of major advertisers: Ray Kroc and Walt Disney. The 2 had a great deal in common. They were both from Illinois. They were born a year apart, Kroc in 1901, Disney in 1902. They knew each other as young men, serving in the same ambulance corps during World War I. They both left Illinois to create a whole new industry in Southern California. And they both had a powerful desire to control things, make them orderly, and always keep them clean. Occasionally that trait led to odd behavior. Walt Disney sealed the windows of his animation studio shut so that employees couldn't change the indoor temperature. Ray Kroc was so worried about cleanliness at McDonald's that sometimes he'd scrub the holes in his mop wringer with a toothbrush. Kroc and Disney shared a limitless faith in science and technology. They ran their companies in much the same way, making all the big decisions and letting other people handle the details. Walt Disney didn't write or draw any of the classic animated films that carried his name. Ray Kroc didn't come up with the recipes for any of McDonald's sandwiches. Both men, however, knew how to hire the right people. Although Disney gained success first, Kroc wound up having a greater lasting influence. His company eventually wielded more power over the American economy and created a mascot, Ronald McDonald, who became even more famous than Mickey Mouse. More importantly, Walt Disney and Ray Kroc were both terrific salesmen. Instead of simply marketing one thing to children, they created imaginative worlds of selling many things, Disneyland and McDonaldland. They carefully linked products to the feelings, ideas, and dreams of children, and their huge success encouraged other business people to use the same tactics and pull the same tricks on kids around the globe. Synergy. Walt Disney served as a role model for Ray Kroc, selling Mickey Mouse films and toys worldwide while Kroc was struggling to sell square ice cream scoops. At the age of 22, Disney had left the Midwest and opened his own movie studio in Los Angeles. He was famous before he turned 30. His early success was based not only on the popularity of Mickey Mouse, but also on his new method for making animated films. The Walt Disney Studio was called a fun factory. Disney's artists were treated like workers on an assembly line. They weren't allowed to draw an entire scene. They were told to sketch and color small parts of a scene again and again. They were kept under strict control and told exactly what to do. Hundreds of young people were being trained and fitted, Disney explained, into a machine for the manufacture of entertainment. Disney loved science and technology and mechanical gadgets. That love of science soon became part of the message in many Disney films. New ways of doing things, Disney seemed to be saying, were always better than the old ways. And buying things was a sure path to happiness. He called Disneyland the happiest place on earth. At the Tomorrowland section of the park, you could find everything from space travel to the kitchen of the future, portrayed in the same cheery, optimistic tone. There was never a hint that some new products, and the scientific thinking behind them, could be harmful. The future celebrated at Disneyland was one in which almost every aspect of American life had a corporate sponsor. Walt Disney was the most beloved children's entertainer in the world. Kids were eager to hear whatever he had to say, and big corporations were eager to link their advertising to Disney's message. General Dynamics, a company that built nuclear reactors, sponsored the Disney film Our Friend the Atom, which told children that nuclear reactors were safe. General Dynamics also sponsored the nuclear submarine ride at Disneyland. Monsanto, a company that made chemicals and plastics, sponsored Disneyland's House of the Future, which was made out of plastic. Richfield Oil, which sold gasoline, sponsored Autopia, a ride that let kids drive gas-burning automobiles. Walt Disney also pioneered the marketing practice now known as synergy. The aim of synergy was to link many products together in the mind of a consumer and secretly advertise them all at once. When it worked, most people didn't even realize that they were seeing an ad. During the 1930s, Disney signed agreements with dozens of companies, allowing them to use pictures of Mickey Mouse on their products and in their advertising. The movie Snow White broke new ground. Disney had already signed 70 marketing deals before it even opened, using Snow White to sell toys, books, clothes, and snacks. Disney later used television to take the idea of synergy beyond anything that anyone had previously imagined. His first television broadcast, 1 Hour in Wonderland, was basically an ad for the upcoming Disney movie Alice in Wonderland. His first television series, Disneyland, broadcast in 1954, provided weekly reports on the construction work at the amusement park. Episodes of Disneyland advertised Disney films, books, and toys. Most of all, the TV show advertised Walt Disney himself, the living, breathing embodiment of the brand, the man who neatly tied all these products together into one fun, cheerful, friendly idea. The hamburger-eatingest clown. During McDonald's tough early years, Ray Kroc could only dream of having his own TV show to sell hamburgers. He didn't have the money for that kind of marketing, but he believed passionately in McDonald's and had a bold idea about how to make it popular. Children would be the new restaurant chain's target customers. The McDonald brothers had aimed for a family crowd, and now Kroc improved and refined their marketing efforts. He'd picked the right moment. During the decade after World War II, the number of children in the United States had increased by 50%. One of the first things Kroc did after going into business with the McDonald brothers was to write a letter to his old friend Walt Disney. The two hadn't seen each other in more than 30 years. "Dear Walt," the letter said, "I have very recently taken over the national franchise of the McDonald's system. I would like to inquire if there may be an opportunity for a McDonald's in your Disneyland development." Kroc thought that opening a McDonald's at the new amusement park would make the restaurant an instant hit with small children. But McDonald's success didn't come that easily. Although Walt Disney wrote Kroc a polite reply, the proposal went nowhere. When Disneyland opened, it had a lot of restaurants. None of them were McDonald's. Unable to share any of Disney's synergy, Kroc came up with other ways to spread the word about McDonald's. He understood that how you sold food was just as important as how the food tasted. He liked to tell people that he was really in show business, not the restaurant business. He decided to market McDonald's as a safe, clean, all-American place for kids. Aiming at children was, above all, a business decision. "A child who loves our TV commercials," Kroc later explained, "and brings her grandparents to a McDonald's gives us 2 more customers." McDonald's first mascot was a cartoon character named Speedy, a winking little chef with a hamburger for a head. In 1957, Richard McDonald suggested handing out lollipops shaped like Speedy at orphanages, Girl Scout and Boy Scout meetings, and children's hospitals in order to profit from this youngster business. Kroc thought it was a good idea, adding that Speedy Pops should also be given away at schools, especially to children in kindergarten, 1st grade, and 2nd grade. As a marketing tool, Speedy turned out to be a flop for McDonald's. The mascot used to sell Alka-Seltzer, a medicine for upset stomachs, was named Speedy, and McDonald's worried that some people might think there was a connection between the 2 brands. It wouldn't help McDonald's if people thought that eating the hamburgers advertised by Speedy might cause the stomach problems Speedy promised to cure. McDonald's new mascot wasn't created by Ray Kroc or by anyone at corporate headquarters. In 1960, Oscar Goldstein, who owned a few McDonald's restaurants in Washington, D.C., decided to sponsor Bozo's Circus, a local TV show starring a lovable clown. As part of the deal, Bozo the Clown visited Goldstein's restaurants, attracting thousands of new customers. When the local TV station canceled Bozo's Circus in 1963, Goldstein hired Willard Scott, the actor who played Bozo, to help create a new clown who could make appearances at McDonald's. An advertising agency designed a new clown costume. Scott came up with the name Ronald McDonald, and a star was born. The original Ronald McDonald looked very different from the one you see today. Willard Scott wore a tray holding a hamburger, a milkshake, and french fries on top of his head. He wore another tray just like it on his belt. And he wore a McDonald's paper cup over his nose. During his first television ad, Ronald McDonald was introduced as the world's newest, silliest, and hamburger-eatingest clown. After searching for a moment, the camera found him sitting in a playroom watching TV. "Hey kids, isn't watching TV fun?" he asked. "I like to do everything that boys and girls like to do, especially when it comes to eating those delicious McDonald's hamburgers." Then he demonstrated the magic tray on his belt. Every time Ronald grabbed a hamburger from the tray, another one would instantly appear in its place. The Ronald McDonald television ads were an immediate success, drawing parents and their children to the McDonald's restaurants in Washington, D.C. 2 years later, Ray Kroc decided to introduce Ronald McDonald to children throughout the United States. Before the new TV ads were broadcast nationwide, Willard Scott was fired. He was considered too overweight to play Ronald. McDonald's wanted someone much thinner to sell its burgers, shakes, and fries. Although he was disappointed that someone else was hired to play Ronald, Scott later got a much better job, serving for years as the weatherman on NBC's Today Show. The new Ronald McDonald ads featured a silent, slender clown who soared through the air on a flying hamburger. He often battled a villain named Mr. Muscle, who tried to steal his food. After defeating Mr. Muscle, Ronald would fly off to the next McDonald's. The ads were broadcast on Saturday mornings when millions of American children were watching cartoons. McDonald's was the first fast food chain to advertise during that time slot, and its ads soon made Ronald McDonald a household name. According to one survey, more than 9 out of 10 American kids know who Ronald McDonald is. There's only one make-believe character better known than Ronald. His name is Santa Claus. As McDonald's mascot became more popular, Kroc thought about creating an amusement park to compete with Disneyland. Instead, McDonald's pursued a different approach. It built small playlands and McDonaldlands at restaurants all over the United States. The fantasy world of McDonaldland borrowed a good deal from Walt Disney's Magic Kingdom. A former Disney set designer gave McDonaldland its distinctive look. The composers responsible for all the songs in Disney's Mary Poppins, as well as the Disneyland song, It's a Small World After All, wrote the music for the first McDonaldland commercials. Ronald McDonald, Mayor McCheese, and the other characters in the ads made McDonald's seem like more than just another place to eat. The restaurant chain presented a series of pleasing images to kids. Bright colors, a playground, a toy, a clown, a drink with a straw, pieces of food wrapped up like little presents. McDonald's soon loomed large in the imagination of small children, the target audience for the ads. Kroc eventually succeeded, like Walt Disney, at selling the promise of a good mood to children, along with their fries. It was called a Happy Meal. McDonaldland, with its hamburger patch, apple pie trees, and Filet-O-Fish fountain, had one crucial thing in common with Disneyland. Almost everything in it was for sale. Threatening Nags. The success of McDonald's helped create a huge boom in children's advertising during the 1980s. Many working parents felt guilty about not spending enough time with their kids and started spending more money on them. After ignoring children for years, companies began to study them carefully and encourage them to buy things. Today, the major advertising agencies have children's divisions, and some marketing firms are entirely devoted to kids. The new children's advertising tries to increase not only how much stuff kids buy now, but also how much they will buy in the future. Companies now plan cradle-to-grave advertising strategies, hoping that childhood fondness for a brand will lead to a lifetime of purchases. They have come to believe what Ray Kroc and Walt Disney realized long ago, that a person's brand loyalty may begin as early as the age of 2. Indeed, researchers have found that children can often recognize a company logo, like the Golden Arches, before they can recognize their own name. Most of the ads aimed at kids have one simple goal: getting kids to nag their parents. It's not just getting kids to whine, a marketer once explained. It's giving them a specific reason to ask for the product. Ads often try to turn children into little salespeople, since kids know their parents better than anyone else does. Advertisers want children to bug their parents and keep bugging them, and bug them really well. How and why children nag their parents is a subject now being studied intensely by ad agencies. James U. McNeil, a professor of marketing at Texas A&M University, says that kids use 7 different nags to get what they want. In his book, Kids as Customers, McNeil describes them. Number 1. A pleading nag is when a kid repeats the same words over and over again, like please, please, or mom, mom, mom. Number 2. A persistent nag is when a kid constantly asks for something, using phrases like, I'm going to ask just one more time. Number 3. Forceful nags are really pushy and may include mild threats like, well then I'll go and ask Dad. Number 4. Demonstrative nags are the riskiest, sometimes leading kids to have an all-out tantrum in a public place, to hold their breath, cry, and refuse to leave a store until they get what they want. Number 5. Sugar-coated nags promise love in return for a purchase and may rely on sweet, adorable comments like, you're the best dad in the world. Number 6. Threatening nags are the nastiest, with kids vowing to hate their parents forever or to run away from home if what they want isn't immediately bought. Number 7. Pity nags claim that a kid will be heartbroken or humiliated or teased by friends if a parent refuses to buy something. All 7 of these nags can be used at the same time, McNeil says, but kids tend to stick to 1 or 2 of each that prove most effective for their own parents. Brand stickiness. Before trying to control children's behavior, advertisers have to learn what kids like. Today's market researchers not only interview children in shopping malls, they also organize focus groups for children as young as 2 or 3. At a focus group, kids are paid to sit around and discuss what they like to buy. The idea of creating a squeezable ketchup bottle came from kids in a focus group. Heinz earned millions of dollars from the idea. The kids who thought of it were paid a small amount. Advertisers study children's artwork, hire children to run focus groups, pay children to attend slumber parties, and then ask them questions late into the night. Advertisers send researchers into homes, stores, fast food restaurants, and other places where kids like to gather. They study the fantasy lives of young children, then apply the findings to advertisements and product designs. For years, children's clubs have been considered an effective way to advertise and to collect information about kids. These clubs appeal to a child's need for friendship and belonging. Disney's Mickey Mouse Club, formed in 1930, was one of the trailblazers. During the 1980s and 1990s, many new children's clubs were started. Corporations used them to get the names, addresses, zip codes, and personal comments of young customers. Marketing messages sent through a club not only can be personalized, James U. McNeil says, they can be tailored for kids of a certain age or geographical group. A well-run children's club can be extremely good for business. The creation of a Burger King Kids Club in 1990 increased sales of Burger King Kids meals by 300%. Children who joined the club received a newsletter full of games, articles about Burger King toys, and profiles of other club members. Children are important because they not only represent a significant percentage of our customers, a Burger King spokesman said, but they also have an incredible influence on what fast food restaurant their parents will choose. The Internet has become another useful way to collect all sorts of information about children. A government investigation of children's websites in March 1998 found that 89% requested personal information from kids. Only 1% of the websites asked children to get permission from their parents before supplying the information. A character on the McDonald's website told kids that Ronald McDonald was the ultimate authority in everything. The site encouraged children to send Ronald an email revealing their favorite menu item at McDonald's, their favorite book, their favorite sports team, and their name. Fast food websites no longer ask children to provide personal information without asking their parents. Doing that is now against the law. but the websites still use cartoon characters and games to promote certain foods. On Ronald Mcdonald's website in early 2006, the Hamburglar said his favorite thing in the whole wide world is hamburgers. Grimace said, "My favorite drink is a milkshake. I think milkshakes are the best." And the Happy Meal McNugget Moon Bounce game gave you 20 points every time you dunked a smiling little McNugget into a tub of sauce. The latest scientific research is also being used to make kids buy things. At the Youth Marketing Forum 2004 conference in Singapore, Karen Tan, representing Coca-Cola, discussed how to make children remember a company's ads and create brand stickiness. According to Tan, research has found that one way to make a lasting imprint on a child's mind is to run the same advertisement over and over again. Repeating the same ad for a product is more effective than running a variety of different ads. The more times a child sees exactly the same ad, the more likely it is that he or she will remember the product. Although the marketing research behind these repetitive ads may be new, the basic idea has been around for a long time. It's called brainwashing. Jens Rasmussen, a representative from the lollipop maker Chupa Chups, revealed in Singapore that his company is sponsoring brain research at the Barcelona Institute of Technology. The research is called neuromarketing. Scientists at the institute are now using equipment to study the magnetic activity of people's brains as they watch commercials. When people feel strongly about a brand, it sets off a response in a specific part of their brain. Rasmussen said that Chupa Chups hopes someday to use neuromarketing as a way of creating loyal customers. The company is spending a lot of money and relying on a lot of high-tech equipment to make sure that kids will buy more lollipops. On the final evening of the Singapore Marketing Conference, its sponsors used an old-fashioned method of gaining information from children. Half a dozen kids, aged 10 to 14, were brought on stage to be interviewed. As business people in the audience asked questions, Camilla, the 14-year-old host of an Asia-Pacific Nickelodeon show called Whacked, held a microphone so the kids could answer. The business people fired one question after another at the children. What do you want your parents to buy you? What's your favorite brand of clothes? What kind of cell phone do you have? What's cool right now? What do you want to be famous for? The kids on stage seemed shy and unsure of what to say. They were being asked some very personal questions in front of hundreds of strangers. Whenever one of them mentioned the name of a company with executives at the conference, people in the audience would suddenly start cheering, and the kid would look surprised, not fully understanding the reason for the applause. When asked what they liked to eat or drink, several kids said that they loved the fried chicken at KFC and the French fries at McDonald's. Elias, a skinny 12-year-old with big glasses who'd been quietly fidgeting, finally worked up the courage to speak. "My mom doesn't like me to drink Coke," he said. "She says it's bad for my teeth." Nobody cheered for Elias. The room fell silent for a moment, and then there was some nervous laughter. Coca-Cola executives were sitting in the audience. Everyone ignored the boy's comment, and an advertising executive sitting on stage quickly changed the subject. It was as though Elias hadn't said anything at all. Toys, toys, toys. Despite the growing importance of the internet, television remains the main place you'll find ads targeting kids. For years, people have debated whether it's right or wrong to produce such ads for young children. Many studies have found that young children often can't tell the difference between a TV show and a TV commercial. They can't understand the real purpose of ads and trust that everything an ad says is true. The idea of banning children's ads is supported by many parents, teachers, and pediatricians, but it is strongly opposed by toy companies, television networks, and major advertising agencies. They earn a lot of money producing ads, broadcasting ads, or selling products with these ads. Far from being banned, TV advertising aimed at kids is now broadcast 24 hours a day on some channels. The average American child now spends about 25 hours a week watching television. That adds up to more than 1.5 months non-stop of TV every year. And that does not include the time spent in front of a screen watching videos, playing video games, or using a computer. Aside from going to school, American children now spend more time watching television than doing anything else except sleeping. During the course of a year, the typical American child watches more than 40,000 TV commercials. About 20,000 of those ads are for junk food, soda, candy, breakfast cereals, and fast food. That means children now see a junk food ad every 5 minutes while watching TV and see about 3 hours of junk food ads every week. American kids aren't learning about food in the classroom. They're being told what to eat by the same junk food ads repeating again and again. Although the fast food chains now spend more than $3 billion every year on television advertising, their marketing efforts aimed at children don't stop there. McDonald's has opened more than 8,000 playgrounds at its restaurants in the United States. Burger King has built more than 2,000. A manufacturer of these playlands explains why fast food chains build them. Playlands bring in children, who bring in parents, who bring in money. As American cities and towns spend less money on parks and playgrounds, fast food restaurants have become a gathering place for families. The seesaws, slides, and pits full of plastic balls have been successful at luring small children. Another form of advertising, however, has proven even more effective. The key to attracting kids, one marketing publication says, is toys, toys, toys. The fast food chains now work closely with America's leading toy makers, giving away small toys with children's meals and selling larger ones at their restaurants. As part of its Happy Meals program, McDonald's has worked with Fisher-Price to give away toddler toys aimed at kids aged 1 to 3. One of the Fisher-Price toys was a tiny doll of a McDonald's worker holding a milkshake. Both McDonald's and Burger King have given away Teletubbies dolls. Teletubbies are aimed at children too young to speak. Children's meals often come with different versions of the same toy, so that kids will nag their parents to keep going back to the restaurant to get a complete set. For many hard-working parents, buying a children's meal that includes a free Hot Wheels car, a Simpsons talking watch, or a butt-ugly Martians doll seems like an easy way to make their kids happy. For the fast food chains, the toys are an easy way to make money. Giving away the right toy can easily double or triple the weekly sales of children's meals. And for every additional child, 1 or 2 additional adults are usually being dragged into the restaurant to eat. McDonald's is in some ways a toy company, not a food company, says one retired fast food executive. Indeed, McDonald's is perhaps the largest toy company in the world. It sells or gives away more than 1.5 billion toys every year. Almost 1 out of every 3 new toys given to American kids each year comes from McDonald's or another fast food chain. McDonald's buys its Happy Meal toys from manufacturers in countries where the prices are low. On the bottom of these toys you often find the phrase, "Made in China." Too often, the lives of the workers who make Happy Meal toys are anything but happy. In 2000, a reporter for the South China Morning Post visited a factory near Hong Kong. The factory made Snoopy, Winnie the Pooh, and Hello Kitty toys for McDonald's Happy Meals. Some of the workers there said they were 14 years old and often worked 16 hours a day, twice the number of hours in a typical American workday. Their wages were less than 20 cents an hour, an amount almost 30 times less than the lowest amount you can pay an American worker. They slept in small rooms crammed with 8 bunk beds without mattresses. At first, McDonald's said it had seen no evidence that such poor conditions existed at the factory, but later it admitted that some things were wrong there. A few months later, a newspaper found that another factory in China that made Happy Meal toys was mistreating its workers. They were working 17 hours a day and being paid less than 10 cents an hour. McDonald's now tries to ensure that children aren't employed to make its toys, but the company hasn't done much to increase the wages of the workers at Chinese toy factories. Low wages are one of the things that keep Happy Meal toys so cheap. One of the most successful promotions in the history of advertising was the Thai Teeny Beanie Baby giveaway at McDonald's in 1997. At the time, McDonald's sold about 10 million Happy Meals in a typical week. Over the course of 10 days in April 1997, by including a Teeny Beanie Baby with each purchase, McDonald's sold about 100 million Happy Meals. Happy Meals are normally sold to kids between the ages of 3 and 9, which means 4 Teeny Beanie Baby Happy Meals were bought for every single American child in that age group. Not all of those Happy Meals were purchased for children. Many adult collectors bought the meals, kept the stuffed toys, and threw away the food. The desire for young customers has led the fast food chains to join forces not only with toy companies, but also with sports leagues and Hollywood studios. McDonald's has staged promotions with the National Basketball Association and the Olympics. Pizza Hut, Taco Bell, and KFC have advertised with college teams. Wendy's has linked with the National Hockey League. Burger King and Nickelodeon, Denny's and Major League Baseball, McDonald's and the Fox Kids Network have all formed partnerships that mix ads for fast food with children's entertainment. Bozo's first appearance at a McDonald's restaurant in 1960 unleashed a children's marketing trend that has swept the world. Amid all the cross-promotions, giveaways, and huggable mascots, It has become almost impossible to separate children's entertainment from fast food advertising, and the industry is proud of that fact. After being criticized for offering hip-hop stars money to mention Big Macs in their songs, a McDonald's spokesman recently argued that there is nothing wrong with advertising to kids that way. "We believe that the McDonald's brand is so omnipresent already in America," the spokesman said, "that having it in music, having it in TV, having it in movies is no more intrusive than anything else children experience these days." In May 1996, the Walt Disney Company signed a 10-year deal with the McDonald's Corporation. The life's work of Walt Disney and Ray Kroc had come full circle, uniting in perfect synergy. The two companies that led the way in aiming ads at children decided to work together. Disney agreed to promote its films at McDonald's restaurants, and McDonald's started to sell hamburgers and French fries at Disney's theme parks. The basic thinking behind McDonaldland and Disneyland, never far apart, finally became one. Now you can buy a Happy Meal at the happiest place on earth.